Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, trader Steve here at Logic FX Trading, and welcome to, I think it's the third news and reviews video of 2019. I said in the last one I would do one yesterday. It got too late last night. I was watching all the nonsense that was going on in the UK Parliament to do with Brexit, and I thought, well, we'll have time in the morning before the Fed announcement and after everything that had gone on in the UK Parliament. So we're doing it now. This is the Fed announcement will be in the US morning, I think. So we've still quite a few hours to go before the Fed. So you have a chance to see this before then. Having said that, I don't think there's going to be any fireworks today from the Fed. And here's, there weren't that many news stories out about this, and I was thinking to myself, well, why is that? And it's because I don't think necessarily it's going to be a big news story. What happened last year, for anyone who's new, what happened last year was that the Fed came out and they said over the next 4 quarters they were going to hike another 1% or 25 basis points, hike the interest rate, that is, 25 basis points per time. They hiked it in December, and we saw what happened over the Christmas period with the Dow Jones. It crashed, basically. It corrected quite sharply, and a lot of people blame that on the Fed. I'm not so sure. If you look at it technically, we were forecasting it long before it happened. Let's just go over and have a quick look at it. I'm going to say we, and Tommy, we had this, we were getting a double top, and what I said practically every day in our live trading room, we record our trading room every day, was to expect some sort of impulsive move down to break that bottom, given as an A, B, C correction before it takes off. And then now what we're saying about it is that there is still a potential, let me just get this out a little bit, guys, there's still the potential for it to come down to this trend line before it really gets over itself. So let's take it out just quickly, the daily time scale, guys. It was because of our analysis of the whole thing, of this right down here, and the way we'd analyzed this and the way we'd had this impulsive move up, and we said, well, listen, this alone needs to correct more than what it had. And then obviously, if this is the end of the impulse, we need a bigger correction than this to satisfy this whole move up, guys. So I'm still of the opinion that this could continue to correct in some manner, or at least give us a sideways movement. Doesn't have to come right to the line, but it could come sideways before it goes. So the point I'm making there is, everybody blamed the Fed on that because they hiked interest rates, but I think we were due it anyway. We were calling it before the Fed did anything. So the idea that they've blamed the Fed is nuts. So investors hoping for a message of patience from Powell. Okay, this is the leader of the Fed. What I think he'll do today is he'll obviously not hike interest rates again. And what he said in January. No, this is January. What he said was the last time he hiked it, it was quite dovish after that about, increasing any more increases to the interest rate. The UK or the US economy is still going well, but guys, so maybe not now, but certainly the next quarter, maybe the quarter after that, you could at least see one more push up in the interest rate if things continue to go. So for today, I don't think we're going to get any big news coming out today. I don't think we're going to get a massive move on the dollar. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think so, guys. So what could move the dollar? Excuse me. Excuse me, folks. Let's get on to my Logic FX trading to see what I've been focusing on. This is what could move the dollar this week. These US-China talks that are ongoing at the moment. If they get a deal, then that will be good for everybody. If they don't get a deal, it could be bad for the dollar. and we could see a drop. But clearly, if there's no deal, it's going to be bad for the Chinese economy, which will have a knock-on effect into the Japanese economy, the Australian economy, the New Zealand economy. So let's keep an eye on that. We'll talk more about that as the week goes on, guys. And getting on to the big story of the day, I thought the Fed was going to be the big story. I don't think it's going to be the big story today. The big story is still what's going on with this Brexit, because remember, Brexit won't just affect what's going on in the UK, but will have a knock-on effect, obviously, to the Eurozone, which then has a knock-on effect to demand for goods from the rest of the world. So Brexit can have a negative effect on the world economy. And remember, we're already looking at a slowdown of the world economy this year. We're just hoping it doesn't go into recession mode. Okay, so Goldman Sachs, they've upped their no deal likelihood after the UK Parliament amended its vote. Now I'm going to give you, for you guys that are in here, let's go back to the pound. Just to give you, this is on the daily, but we'll zoom in. This was all the nonsense about Brexit. Okay, it was already pulling back the pound. This is the pound index. And then there was the Brexit vote 2 years ago. Bang, down it came on one day. In a few hours, it dropped like a stone. And then there was a bit of recovery. And then the news just sunk in again and off it went. And then from there, you know, news is things as normal. Brexit wasn't the main thing. And people are looking at the UK economy and going, well, do you know what? It's okay. And we'll get a deal and off they go. And the real value of the pound's probably closer up into this range. So that's where they had it going. We caught this double top. We were only looking for a C pullback. And it ended up giving us a really deep correction of that whole move up. And then here, and we'll get down to the 1 hour. Well, let's go to 4 hours rather than 1 hour. And then over this period of time here, this is where the market's been saying, hey, there's going to be a deal, there's going to be a deal. The UK might not even leave. And to be honest, guys, the whole way up here, I've been saying this is nonsense. I understand what the main thing that's stopping, it's the backstop in Ireland. I'm from Northern Ireland. I live in Belfast. I understand the importance of what's going on with this from an Irish peace process point of view. And unless Europe gives way on the backstop of the Irish border, the UK will crash out of Europe. They will do it because for some people, their national pride is more important than the economy of the country. And that's basically what it comes down to, guys. If they kept the deal that Europe wants, then there's potential breakup of the UK itself. And for a lot of people, keeping the UK as a United Kingdom is more important than any short-term effects of a no-deal Brexit. Okay, so what's going to happen next? Well, we've seen this pullback because what happened last night, and the reason that we've had the pullback, obviously this is the news, we're talking about the news. The reason we started to have this pullback, at the moment it's not disastrous. It's still within this moving up, but this could accelerate, could come right back down to here, guys. I still think there's going to be a deal, and here's the reason. Let's go back and look at this. Okay, we were talking about gold the other day as well. Where are we? Let's go back a little bit. Okay, here's what was going on. And it is guide tonight's Brexit vote. Brexit government supports Brady Amendment on Ireland border. Chaos as Theresa May announces Plan B after Tories reject it. Where were the votes? Flying Sterling's wings may be clipped as best case Brexit priced in. UK lawmakers vote down. Oh, there's Brexit amendment. There's Corbyn's amendment. Guys, I posted these and I thought they'd come up in order, but they've obviously not come up in order. So what happened last night, they had a whole series of votes on where they were going to go with the Brexit negotiations. What happened in those votes? And remember, there's a completely divided parliament, and there's a lot of wrangling going on, similar to what's going on in America from the point of view of the shutdown. One side wants things to go one way, the other's trying to force something through the other way, and they end up, you get nowhere. But what happened last night in the UK Parliament was that the governing party, which is the Tories, got themselves together and defeated each of these votes that came through, and passed the votes that they wanted to pass, defeated the ones that they didn't like. So the government's back in control of the Brexit process, which is back to Theresa May's Plan A, which they won't put through unless, remember, they voted her Plan A down last week before. They won't vote that through unless there's amendments to it. The EU saying we're not going to amend the deal. The UK Parliament said, well, we're not going through with it unless you amend the deal. It's a Mexican standoff, guys. So that's where we are on it. What's going to happen? Nobody knows, but what we've got to look for is some sort of shift. Let's just look at the pound USD, just a chart rather than the index there. So there's a Mexican standoff going on at the moment. The EU's playing hardball because they're trying to punish the UK for leaving the EU. Why are they doing that? Because they don't want anyone else saying, hey, that's a good idea. The UK left and they're doing okay for themselves, so we'll leave as well. So essentially, it's supposed to be a democratic system, but it ain't a democratic system. It's becoming autocratic. And anyone who tries to leave, they punish so no one leaves. Well, the UK saying, half of the UK saying, well, come on, let's do it. So how's that going to affect the pound? What we've got to look out for now, guys, and there's a little ABC correction, is this going to drop again? I think it probably will. Other than that, if the EU were to come out with if there was some news story was picked up where concessions were being given, where people said, hey, listen, we might be able to work something else out in that backstop, then the Brexit deal would pass and the pound would take off. If the EU stick to their guns and say we're not renegotiating, the EU will crash out the UK will crash out without a deal, which means we're going to get that, guys. What we've got to do is look for the signs. And if I see any signs of it, if I hear any news about it, I'll get it out on one of these little videos, guys. So keep your ear tuned to what's going on. Okay, guys, I think that will do us for today. I hope you're following this. If you're new and then all that was new to you and sounds nuts, well, it is nuts, guys, the thing that we're actually talking about, but you will pick up on the story as you go along, because hopefully I'll explain it bit by bit as we go. I can't give you everything today because these are only supposed to be little 5-10 minute videos. On top of that, most of my traders know where I'm coming from in this, and this is for them as well. Okay, guys, hope that helps. I'll speak to you all again tomorrow. No, I won't. I'll speak to you whenever I do the next one. I forgot, this isn't the trading room. This is the news and reviews. I'll get another one out and I'll post it. You'll pick it up when it gets posted on YouTube or Twitter, or if you're on my Telegram, there's a free Telegram account. You can join there and you'll get news off it from there, or Facebook. All the usual areas, guys. Look up LogicFXTrading.com and remember to share and like, guys, or comment if you think it's rubbish, but you have a coherent reason why it's rubbish, then let us know, guys. Bye for now.